I know people will go, oh, we don't have fraud and abuse in our election, but why can't we have voter ID when the majority of our people in Wisconsin wanted it? We passed it. The governor signed it. Why should one judge in Dane County be able to hold it up?
There you have the problem of the Republican Party. Pay a lot of attention to what that woman just said, that state senator. Okay, so that's the state, Wisconsin State Senator Alberta Darling. I don't know her. She served as Mitt Romney's co-chair in the state, and now she's saying suppressing the vote by requiring photo voter ID cards would have made the difference in Wisconsin. Well, let's look at the facts here. Apparently, she's not interested in the facts. Obama won Wisconsin by 205,000 votes, 200,000 votes plus. She is saying there that that was stolen, that they stole the Democrats through same-day registration. Poor people, whoever came in that state, they live there. They stole over 200,000 votes. That's her claim, because there weren't photo voter ID card requirements. Anyway, Paul Ryan expressed, there's more of this dog whistle crap going on. Here's Paul Ryan expressing his surprise at the pro-Obama turnout in an interview Monday. That's just 2 days ago, well after the election. They're still talking like this. Let's listen to Ryan here.
We were surprised with the outcome. We knew this was going to be a close race. We thought we had a very good chance of winning it. I think the surprise was some of the turnout. Some of the turnout, especially in urban areas, which definitely gave President Obama the big margin to win this race.
Well, Cynthia Tucker is visiting professor of journalism down at the University of Georgia, and Joan Walsh is editor-at-large for Salon and author of What's the Matter with White People? By the way, that question seems apt again tonight. Anyway, the L.A. Times has just posted a report on Mitt Romney's press conference call today with top donors. It says Romney, quote, attributed his rival's victory to, quote, the gifts the Obama administration had given to blacks, Hispanics, and young voters during Obama's first term. Obama, Romney argued, had been, quote, very generous, close quote, or quotes around it, to blacks, Hispanics, and young voters. Cynthia, you know, I once heard a Canadian election guy with a French-Canadian nationalist was saying they lost the election to the people who wanted to stay as part of Canada because of ethnic voters. That means non-French, non-English. This guy, Paul Ryan, who I don't think is right for prime time yet by any means, talking about the urban vote. No, they won the other side because they got the most votes. Yeah. Because they won fair and square, which is the first thing Ryan said. Why did he go step on his own headline? They won fair and square by saying, oh, it was the black vote. Basically, that's what he's saying.
Chris, let me just say, as for Romney's comments, I'm still waiting for my gift. I'm waiting for my gift from Obama. I haven't received my gift yet. Maybe it was lost in the mail.
You may have voted for him without getting that thing in the mail that he was supposed to send everybody?
Maybe Chris.
I did not get my gift. But let me just say that the comments that you have focused on encapsulate the Republicans' problems. And while we have pundits have been speculating that Republicans have finally learned their lessons. They have to stop being so disrespectful to large blocks of voters. They have not learned. They cannot stop being disrespectful and dismissive. This business of urban vote. Chris, you're an urban voter. You live in a city, don't you?
Actually, I live 2 blocks outside a city, but I spent most of my life living either in Philadelphia or in Worcester, Massachusetts at college, which is a city, or in Washington, D.C. for many, many years. Yes.
I mean, this is just nonsense. They cannot speak of us as Americans, as voters. Exactly. And we understand that, and that's the reason so many black and brown people and so many white voters, by the way, don't vote for the Republican Party.
Yeah, I think that was well said. I think a lot of white people are turned off by this old-style stuff. Joni, my question to you, my dear friend, how do you explain Romney, who left the stage with such grace on election night, and I will pay tribute to that forever, the way he did it, now going back over this again, saying they bought the minority vote? This is the kind of thing he was saying during the campaign, remember? He was saying, remember, he said they get rid of the work requirement for welfare because he had to pay off his base. He was the feeding of the base, the feeding of the base. Why? It's a theme he's still pushing.
Why does he say it, Chris? Because he really believes it. They really believe that this is what it's all about and that we've all been paid off. And as Cynthia says, I'm still waiting for my gifts, too. But the thing that really irks me about this, to listen to those two people from Wisconsin speak so dismissively of their own population and their own state. I mean, Paul Ryan lost his home district, lost his city, his hometown. Let's just say that, which is not a particularly urban place. But I cast my
200,000 200,000 vote thieves. 200,000 in his own state.
And I cast my first vote for Jimmy Carter in suburban Milwaukee. I went to high school and college in Wisconsin. We are proud of our tradition of broad public participation in the vote, Chris. Those are the Wisconsin
and clean elections, too.
And clean elections. Wisconsin and Minnesota have the 2 highest rates of participation, and that used to be something to be proud of as a Wisconsin resident. They are mad because they got their butts kicked by a resurgent Democratic Party in the state, which out-organized them. That's what it's all about.
You know, Teddy White, when he wrote Song of the President, Making the President back in '60, said when you have a vote in states like Wisconsin and Minnesota, you can count on the vote being exactly right. Let me go back to Cynthia. Cynthia, there are people out there who will say, Matthews, you and Cynthia, you hear that dog whistle when it's not even there. And I'll tell you, maybe you can argue that. But if you put it all together and listen to it over and over and again, from Sununu's talk of lazy to this talk about Obama belongs in Kenya, he's the illegal immigrant, to this latest character we just had a few minutes ago. Did you hear about the guy, the Christian right-wing guy that came on and said that the reason Mexican Americans are socialist is because it's somehow in their blood because they come from a socialist country? Wait a minute. Arnold Schwarzenegger is from socialist Austria. It was the reason he left. It could be that they want to live in a country with more freedom and less government. I don't know. But a lot of people in the United States I grew up with from Polish backgrounds and other backgrounds, they come from that Ukrainian backgrounds. I went to Catholic school, all these guys. They all came from left-wing, hard left-wing communist countries, and they're the opposite. So this idea you can trace people's ideological DNA through their migratory roots is insane. Your thoughts?
And it also shows how very little they understand their fellow Americans and how very little they're trying to understand. You know, Chris, what it says to me, a lot of the nonsense that we heard over the election, the welfare ads and all of that, I thought they put that nonsense out there to satisfy their base. Now I'm understanding how many of the Republican strategists really believe those ugly stereotypes about voters of color. And let me further say, Chris, that it isn't just the nonsense we heard in this election. Black Americans have understood, have heard Republicans speak disrespectfully of us for the last 50 years. That's right. That's the reason Black Americans don't vote for the Republican Party. Now, for the last 5 to 7 years, Latinos have been hearing the same thing. If you continue to talk about us in this stereotypical, dismissive manner, we get the message. You don't want us in our party, in your party, and of course, we are not going to give you our votes. It's as simple as that.
Right. I love the way they just say, and I use that sarcastically, were your votes stolen or were they bought? That's a nice debate in the Republican Party. We can't decide whether they bought their votes or they stole them. That's how they anyway, I make it funny because it's horrible. Cynthia, I love your passion. I love your truth. Thank you so much. Joan, too. Name of your book?
What's the matter with white people?
It seems to be apt to tonight's discussion. Up next.